Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're joined live at the New Orleans Investment Conference with Omai Gold Mines. Omai is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker OMG and on the OTCQB under the ticker OMGGF. I'm chatting today with the president and CEO of Omai Gold Mines, Elaine Ellingham. Elaine, it's great to see you in person as always. And for those listening in, Omai is an operator in Guyana. They are a development stage company working out the resource and the economics around a deposit that's about 6.5 million ounces of gold in all categories. And so it's an exciting development stage company with a lot of growth on tap. And the last time we talked, it was back in August. You had just put out the resource. And on the 9th of October, you put out a technical report. So for those that haven't been following along, just give us a nice snapshot of both Wenot and Gilt Creek together in a combined resource.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our work, as you probably know, has been focused on the Wenot deposit. So in fact, we increased the resource at Wenot. We almost doubled it. So we took it from 2.4 million ounces to 4.7 million ounces in just over a year drilling. So that was quite an achievement. And that's an open pittable deposit. And I guess one of the things was early this year, we actually were drilling and we started getting our results from some of the deeper drilling, not that deep, 350 meters, still open pittable, but tremendous wide high-grade zones. So we just, accelerated the drilling, kept drilling and reaped the benefits. So when we got to that resource, I think we even surprised ourselves a little bit, but delightful. So we're not, having an open pit deposit of that size is quite incredible, especially when you're in a mining-friendly country like Guyana. Yeah, so we've drilled about 30,000 meters this year, a little bit more than that maybe, and we're trying, our target is to do 40,000 this year, so we've got another 10,000 meters to go.
So there's a lot of drilling that you've already done, a lot of drilling probably at the lab, and a lot of drilling to go. As you build into this, just remind people you're going to be updating the resource and updating the economics maybe at the latter part of Q1 next year. And this is important because initially when you put out the PEA, Elaine, you only did it at Wenot. So now you're going to combine Gilt Creek and Wenot together and update the resource. Maybe give us an idea of how that train's moving forward.
Right. Yeah. So early last year in 2024, we put out an initial PEA, an economic study. And it had a couple purposes. One, we felt the market really didn't understand that this project had a clear path to production. And then also it helped us getting on the permitting trail in Guyana, because with just a PEA, a mine plan in that, government will accept that as an application. So we got our environmental permit and we've actually applied for the EIA already. But that was a fairly initial step on that PEA. And so in fact, it was only covered about 20% of what our current new resource is. So obviously the next PEA is going to be substantially larger.
Larger is good, and we are looking forward to seeing the updated resource and the updated PEA. I guess just fueling the fire here, you just put out some news to the marketplace on the 3rd of November. Headline hole here, 20 grams per ton gold over 5 meters and 2.72 grams per ton gold over 16.3 meters. Now, these are some areas that are kind of more regional targets for you, the BBH target, the Camp Zone target. Talk to us about how, in addition to the known deposit, you're continuing to find other areas that are prolific.
Right, absolutely. Obviously, this is a past-producing mine, so we went for the low-hanging fruit. So Wenot obviously has grown very substantially, very fast. The Gilt Creek Deposit, we've been working on the underground, which obviously extends quite a bit to depth. But there are exploration targets that we have poked away at. We did a bit of trenching over. But we had to keep our focus because you really want to advance the known resources, and I think we've been very effective doing that. So when we actually were doing the updated resource there, we moved the drills onto some of our exploration targets, kind of hit our favorite ones. And so, as I said, we've trenched up on the BBH target and seen some impressive looking veins, systems, and we've kind of mapped them out and sampled them. But we wanted to do a few more drill holes. And so, yeah, that drill hole that we did up there, the vertical hole, a nice surprise, running over 20 grams over 5.3 meters. And the really important part is it's less than 50 meters deep. So these are kind of open pittable type resources. They're not going to be huge. It's not going to be like a Wenot. It's not that large. But the reality is when you do your economic study, if you have even small near surface satellite zones, especially like this, which isn't even consolidated rock, you wouldn't even have to drill and blast it. You put that through your mill first, and it really boosts your economics in the first couple years. So we're not looking for huge 1,000,000-ounce deposits there. We're looking for near surface, easily mineable, and a target like BBH is probably within 300-400 meters of where we're going to put the mill site. So these just make sense, and so we basically do those when we take a pause from our drilling of Wenot. So yeah, the BBH target, with that, we're waiting for results from 2 more holes. And when we get those together, basically we'll kind of model them and figure it out because there's some structure going on up there. And then we'll do a few more holes for sure.
Yeah, and what stands out to me is that if you're talking about open pitable resources, keep in mind a lot of parts of the world are mining sub 1 gram material. We talk to people in Nevada and Mexico that are doing 0.3, 0.4. We're talking about 20 grams per ton gold over 5 meters. Inside of that, there's an intercept that's 35 grams per ton gold over 3 meters. And then at the camp zone target, we talked about the 2.72 grams per ton gold over 16 meters. That's a big, nice, broad intercept. But you got 9 grams per ton gold in there. There's another hole in there that hit 11 grams per ton gold over 1 meter. So I'm amazed at the grade that you're having here for an open pit project.
Right, absolutely. And that's why we've followed up on them. And as you can imagine, while we're working on Wenot, we always ponder over when we have some time we want to get over there. So yeah, we're really happy to see that kind of result come out. Obviously, when you see that kind of grade, the core looks really nice too, and you obviously see quite a bit visible gold. The key thing again is on the camp zone, we're talking really around 100 meters depth, super shallow for open pit mining. Again, satellite zones, exactly what we've always talked about, and it's sort of our strategy is you always do 5 or 6 drill holes on these things. You get the results, you model them again, take that, and then you take that learning and you expand out from there, right?
Just a quick follow-up on this. Since these are newer holes for you, are they going to make it into the PEA consideration? Because I think people looking at these can see how they would be beneficial to an early mining scenario, but are they too early to include in the resource, too early to include in the PEA?
That's a great question. I think as soon as we get the rest of these results in, which should be pretty soon, we'll do some modeling quick. But since we have 5 drills on the property, we can probably redeploy one of those drills to follow up on some of these. And I would like to get those into the next resource and into that economic study. It would be a big bonus, but at the same time, we try to keep moving forward as fast as we can. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, speaking of big bonuses, let's talk about another swing for the fences hole that you're drilling, a very deep hole. And I think people listening need to keep in frame of mind that at Gilt Creek, you have underneath it a large sulfide body. And so you're drilling a hole from Gilt Creek diagonally over under Wenot to see if there's a proof of concept for mineralization being at depth under Wenot. How is that hole going? How many meters have you drilled? Give us an update here.
Yeah, for sure. So that hole actually ended at the beginning of about the second week of October. So a few weeks ago, and it ended at about 2,014 meters. It actually ended, we did identify the shear down there, which was a big win. So the shear, as you know, those Wenot zones that host the gold, they're vertical or near vertical. And so, geologically, these things should continue to depth. Do they always? No, things can happen. Mother Nature's involved, but it was a good shot at seeing if it's down there, and lo and behold, yes, it was, as expected. And so, yeah, we drilled across almost 280 meters of the shear. We saw the same rock types as you would see in the Wenot deposit up above. And so, unfortunately, the hole got to be a dip of only 11 degrees. It was almost horizontal. And so drilling gets really difficult. Plus, we were 2 kilometers down hole. And so at 2014, the hole gave out. But I was actually happy because at 1650, I thought we weren't going to make it any further because it was shallowing. So we did. So 280 meters of the shear, it's at the lab. Yeah, fingers crossed. And we should be seeing those results, I would say, in another 2 to 3 weeks from now. So, yeah, it's kind of exciting. And basically what it tells you is with the deposits we have and with the resources, you probably are looking at a 20-year mine life. So we're now looking at this shear and testing at 600 meters below the Wenot deposit. So if we see it there, that's not going to be part of the resource. It's too separated. But it tells people that this is probably a 30 or 40-year mine life. And that's the kind of thing when you go into and develop these mines in the interior of a country like Guyana, people, they learn the job, their families, are supported by it. Like mines bring a lot of wealth and support to the communities. It's a 10-year mine lives. It's not long enough to keep people kind of employed their whole lifetimes, right? 20 years, 30-year, 40-year mine lives. They're great benefits to countries like this. So I think that's a win for everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And I think just the proof of concept is enough to show any potential suitors that, hey, this thing could have just doubled in mine life, because you go from 20 years to possibly 30 or 40 years if there's all of that mineralization at depth underneath Wenot. So exciting hole to follow along with. We'll be waiting for those assay results. Well, Elaine, in the process of doing all this drilling and the process of doing all this development work, heading towards the economic studies, I think another key point is that in October on the 21st, you just raised $40 million through a bought deal private placement. So the company is now cashed up to execute. Give us an idea of any of the key partnerships here in that financing, but also what that allows the company to do as far as legroom.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, the gold price has been moving. Our stock had a lot of support in the market. And as you can see, we're moving and accelerating forward very, very quickly. So it made sense to do a financing. It was 400% higher price than the previous financing, so not very dilutive at all. And so we have about just under 60 million Canadian, which really is going to take us through that next economic study. And we're just going to keep drilling because, we know where this deposit is. We know it's going to advance forward. After that next PEA, it's heads down, heading towards like a feasibility study. And since it's a past producer, we have some benefits on the metallurgy front. We know that. We've got some tailings there that we're doing some studies on. So all the other key components, that money gives us the ability to really advance these things.
And is the plan to go from the more advanced PEA you're going to put out at the beginning of next year straight towards a feasibility? Or are you going to skip the pre-feasibility, or do you think you'll have a two-step process? What are you looking at there?
That's a great question, and I think that's what we're looking at now. And so we've got a couple of directors with a lot of mine development experience, and so I think generally the concept is to move forward to a feasibility study. We think that's doable, and I think, as you well know, Guyana, the government is extremely supportive. They were just reelected this September 1st. They've got a 5-year runway and very supportive of mining, and we've been meeting with them already. So I think if we can get to that feasibility stage faster, they'll certainly support moving that.
Well, and so just as we wrap up here, you've got a lot of news on tap with all the drilling that you're still doing. You've still got assays at the lab that we're waiting on. We're waiting on the deep hole results, and you're building towards this PEA in the first quarter of next year. You're building towards the updated resource. Any other news on the permitting side, on the metallurgical side, since you brought those up? Anything else on de-risking that you want to mention? Any key catalysts for investors to follow along with?
Yeah, so as I said, that PEA last year allowed us to get on the permitting path. We got the environmental permit within 6 months, and we've applied for the EIA. And so we have a ERM, which is an international firm working with us, and they're looking at the scope and terms. But to give you an idea of how fast we're moving, it looks like we're probably going to be doing our community consultation before year end. So we're moving pretty quickly. So it's all good. As you say, you de-risk the project, and basically all of these things we can move forward.
All right. Well, there's a lot of news on tap with Omai Gold Mines. And so for those of you listening in, definitely click on the link below in the show notes. It takes you right over to the Omai Gold website, straight to their news section, where you can sign up for updates that hit your email inbox, or just follow along with the news as more assays come out. Elaine, keep us posted. I'm sure we'll be getting you back on for an update soon. And as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
Great. Thanks, Chad. Really appreciate it.